Hello, we are at even Mammoths Can Be Agile, actually Agile Mammoths Games now. And we are talking with Sander Hoogendoorn about his presentations. Hello Sander. You mentioned about small teams, small components, and the Cinefin framework, which is quite complex. How do you see the real project work with small teams, small components, compared with the classic, 6 months delivery of a project?
Yeah, well, when we started in this field, like 60, 70 years ago, we didn't know how to do this. And over time, because it's still a young field, we actually got better at it, meaning that our cycles went shorter. If you look at a waterfall approach, it's basically one single cycle with a big team, usually split up into different disciplines. And we've learned from that, and we went to Agile, where we had multidisciplinary teams that worked together in shorter cycles, and the cycles became shorter and shorter. Well, at the current point in time is that the world is going so fast and changing so fast, basically due to technology. Look at what we're doing. We're sending machines to Mars. We have robots that jump up on tables and off tables, doing somersaults, and so we are changing extremely fast, which also means that in software development we have to keep up, because if we are slow as a company, that means somebody else will jump in and do it better and faster. Also, the thing is that other companies can now jump into specific industries because of the cloud, for instance. Because of the cloud, there is an enormous capacity in computing power, enormous capacity in storage, and in doing more things with for less money, because you don't have to maintain all this machinery yourself. So that means banks, for instance, where they have huge amounts of hardware, where they used to have that, companies can now compete with that who don't have any hardware and have just 10 people writing software. Yes. So as a result, we need to be faster. And to be faster, you need to do things smaller. That means we will build smaller components. Smaller components means basically that you have to modularize your code. It means that we will go towards microservices, because you can deliver them actually much faster, although don't underestimate the complexity of that stuff. Or we go into serverless, because we want to execute services without even having to bother with the technology that is underneath it. Also, it means that the cycles in which we run will become shorter. When an organization moves to continuous delivery, that means you can slowly start dropping away all the cycles and iterations, because the only thing you need to do is the only process that is still there is pick up one item from the list of stuff you need to do, the most important one continuously, build that with a very small team, being maybe 2 developers, a tester, an UI designer, or an analyst, or a product owner, build that, and then pick up the next feature. That means all this iterative processing, once you've done that for a while, so if you've done Agile for, let's say, a number of years, you will slowly move to continuous delivery, means you will move beyond Agile and go even faster. And you need to do that basically because if you don't, somebody else will.
Totally agree. And talking about this continuous delivery, you mentioned something really interesting, and you said stop doing projects, start doing MVP, and then add features over it. Yeah. Can you comment a little bit on this?
Yes. Well, the traditional and classic approach to doing projects in the industry, being a fixed price project where you fix the date, you fix the amount of money that you have, you fix the amount of people that you have, and you fix the functionality that you want to have. That metaphor doesn't really work in our industry. The problem with that is that if you start making plans, if you do very detailed design up front, means that it will change over time. The longer the period is, and the bigger the project is, the bigger the chances are that it will change. So in software development, the big difference between software development and other engineering fields is that if you build a house, and let's say you've built the first floor, and after that you say, hey, I want a basement, that is tough, right? Well, it's tough, you have to dig it out underneath your own floor, etc., etc. But in software development, as it says, it's software development, means that you can literally say, oh, you know what, I'll build this under it. I'll change the architecture in that way. I'll go into that perspective. And you can do it because it's software. So software behaves itself very differently than other engineering disciplines. It's a very highly creative field. And because it's so creative and because you can change it all the time, that's the reason you should stop doing projects and move to building products and extend on those. If you look at your mobile phone, for instance, all the apps that are running on it probably have a new version coming out every 2 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, agree, I know this.
And we all do that. And we start moving towards that particular metaphor because the other one is not suitable for this industry.
Sounds really good, and I'm glad you know talk about things that are happening, but usually people are just keep talking about agile, you know, in an old fashion. And talking about the teams, you also Spotify was like a big hit, a model, and people start to follow it. Yeah. And could you comment on this about that approach and why it's good or not good to follow it?
Yeah. Well, it goes for any model, whether that's Scrum or Spotify or Safe or Sociocracy, Holacracy. All of these models have good elements in it. The point is that every project is different, every team is different. That means if you just adopt or copy somebody else's model, that is a model that might work for them. It doesn't mean that it also works for you. So if you blindly copy somebody else's model, then it doesn't really matter which model it is, whether that's Scrum or XP or Spotify or Safe or Less or DSDM or whatever model you use. Just copying somebody else's model will not do it for you. The thing is, you have to keep thinking for yourself. You have to keep improving on what you do. That also means that picking elements from these models that work for you and combine that into the way of your working for your company, that's the only thing you can do. Just copying somebody else is not going to work.
Totally agree. And you know, talking about the teams, you also have that, you know, no rules teams, and you give that example with Amsterdam where there are streets with no rules, no lights, nothing. So how your teams are organizing themselves? Can you tell us a little bit?
Well, every team does that differently, and that's up to them. So the thing is, for people to be effective and happy in a team, it means that you have to facilitate that. That means you have to create a safe environment. That means an environment where people can speak up, people can give their opinion, people can criticize other people without the other people feeling attacked. And you can only work as a team efficiently and self-organizing if you create an environment that allows you to do that. That means that you have continuously work on giving people the trust they need to do this stuff. And make sure that the environment's safe. Not that there's a CEO in the company that continuously bullies on the people, right? In an organization like that, people don't feel the liberty to make their own decisions. Also, the thing is that in software development, because the cycles are so short, the importance of a decision is much lower. So if I make a decision today and it appears to be the wrong decision, I'll see that further up on the day or maybe tomorrow, and I can repair it, right? So if in a traditional project you make a decision, it's a decision for the next 2 years. Yes. In these short cycled approaches, meaning you take a decision, it's for the next day. This morning we had a discussion with my team about whether to, are we going to facilitate accounts via usernames or via email addresses? Oh, half of the team was for one,
question.
Right, and the other half of the team was for the other, for using usernames. So we are just going to go with one of them, try it out. If it works, that's fine. If not, we'll just flip it the other way.
Yeah, maybe we can make both of them working.
Yeah, we might. Yeah. Well, that's also a possibility, right? And you have to keep the creativity going, and that makes teams effective, and it makes people have fun in their team. It makes people want to work for you instead of for the competitor.
Okay, Sander. I think you cover all my questions. How do you feel in Cluj? Did you enjoy the conference?
Yes, I did. Although a lot of the sessions were in Romanian, but that allowed me to do some work and write some code, because that is still my favorite part. And I loved the talks that I saw, and my own talk, of course, was I think okay. It was well received, and I hope to see a bit of the city tonight and tomorrow. And yeah, so it's been great fun being here.
It's the first time in Romania, right? Or
No, it's the second time actually.
Oh,
I've done
okay.
a training course in IASH. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but that's,
yeah, that's correct.
I thought
That's
it's.
yeah, really good.
So yeah, I did a microservice training course about 2 years ago. So that was my first time in Romania. This is the second time, and I hope to be back.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.